All right, Algebra 2. Today we're going to do a review on factoring. These notes are very busy. I have no desire to fill out all these notes. There's only one thing I'm interested in. Well, a couple things I'm interested in. So go ahead and find where it says binomials in the notes. Factoring is that whole thing that we've been doing quite a bit, actually, where we essentially can just take out an x, take out a number, etc., and then you can basically factor. So I want to start with this one, the binomials cases. Sometimes you're going to end up with a 4x squared minus 12x, and you won't have a number at the end of that. So I'm going to just give you an example. And so follow this in your notes. You can see what I'm doing. These aren't going to be stellar notes. This is just going to be to the point. So how this works on this one, you have to take out the GCF. The GCF stands for the greatest common factor, and it's what's the biggest number and term that can divide into both of these. So I see the numbers 4 and 12. Right away, I know that 4 and 12 are both divisible by 4. And then I see x squared and x. So technically there's an x to the 1 here. I'm going to take the smallest one, which is just x. So when I have this number here, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and then x squared with x taken out. So what I have left over is a 1x. And then when I take out the 4x from here, I have a negative 3 left over. So if you don't know how to do that yet at this point, you will need extra help and map time. But if you notice how it works, if you go backwards, if you want to check your work, you could distribute this 4x. And that means multiply. So I'm going to go backwards now to show you how we check it. 4 times 1 is 4. X times x is x squared. And then 4 times minus 3 is negative 12, and then we have that x. So if you want to check your work when you're done, just redistribute it afterwards and see what's up. So check out this one here. This one I can take an x out. So when I take out one of those x's, this is now reduced down to 1x plus 3. This only has 1x, and I've already taken it out, so there's no more x's left next to it. And if you want to check to make sure you factored it correctly, you can distribute. And if you have the same thing, you're good. So that's basically just that. That's taking out the GCF. Remember the special cases? When you have a minus sign right here, and you have a perfect square right here, so a perfect square and a perfect square, you can basically set this up very quickly. We covered this, but some of y'all never really saw it, or some of y'all didn't really master it, and it's kind of simple. So you just take the square root of this and the square root of this, and then you put them into two different parentheses, one with an x minus, one with an x plus. So the square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 16 is 4. That's that. So check out this one down here. Take the square root of the first term, which is 3x, minus, take a square root of the second term, which is 5. And then, again, I'm going over this so quickly because it's review. So the special cases, this is perfect squares, the difference of perfect squares, meaning when there's a subtraction sign and you have a perfect square here and a perfect square here, you can basically factor it into this stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to factor by grouping. This is the one I care about. Factor by grouping is the one that works on everything. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it. So remember how this works. We have to label our A, our B, our C, and then our AC. So our A is 2, our B is 7, our C is 3, and our AC is 2 times 3, which is 6. So it has to multiply to AC, and it has to add to 7. So in this case, I'm going to know what it is. 1 times 6, so 1 times 6, so 1 and 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the next step, because this is one of those things that y'all might have forgotten, and it's okay if you did. I'm going to break this apart now. I have 1x plus 6x plus 3. The goal is to get 4 terms. Try to stretch your memory and try to remember this. If you don't remember, I'm going to go ahead and put the parentheses up right now. Maybe this will help you understand what we were doing before. So check out what happened. I'm going to go ahead and do purple so you can see what I did. So I took these numbers here, 1 and 6, and 1 times 6 is 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. Check this out. There's that 7 up there. Here's this 1x and this 6x. What do you notice? All I did was I broke apart the 7x, and I broke it up into 1 and 6. So when that happens, you're now basically ready to go ahead and factor. How do you do that? You take out the GCF. This one has a 2 and an x I can take out. Oh, no, I can't take out a 2x. I can only take out an x. So I'm going to take out an x from the first one, and I end up with 2x plus 1. And you're trying to make sure the interior of the parentheses match. So now check out this one. There's only one x here. There's no x's here, so I can't take out an x. But I can take out a 3. So I'm going to take out a 3, and then 6 divided by 3 is 2x, and then 3 divided by 3 is 1. So check it out. These interiors match. So now what ends up happening is you have an x plus 3. You have an x plus 3 for one of these, and you have a 2x plus 1 for another one of your possible answers. That's it. That's how you factor. Now, that would be the answer. When it says to factor it, it would look like this. But if you had to solve for x, the entire thing would be equal to 0. So if you had to solve for x, let's say like this, and you will today when you're doing your work. When you have to solve for x, you see this? You have to end up setting each of these equal to 0. So you end up with x plus 3 equals 0, which gives you x minus 3 for one of the possible answers. And then you have 2x plus 1 equals 0, which when you're done with all this, you end up with 2x equals negative 1. Divide out the 2 on both sides, and x equals negative 1/2. I'm just doing basic equation work. There's nothing special going on. X equals negative 3, x equals negative 1/2. So that's what it would be, but if they just say group it and don't solve it, we just want this one up here. So it's not that big of a deal. I am going to probably ask you to do this one in class. I'm going to make sure that we can actually factor this correctly. So there's that. So I will probably have you do this one. Not probably, I will have you do this one in class. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move on to this. You might have to factor out a greatest common factor first. And what that means is, check it out. When you look at these terms, are they all even? In this case, yes. So in this one, I can pull out a 2. So I can pull out 2, and then I have x squared plus 6x minus 7. And then I can kind of ignore this 2 a little bit, like not fully, but kind of. I can basically put it up here as part of the answer. It'd be 2, would be in here. And then I can factor this out. And so when I factor this interior part out, I have to do the ABC thing again, yada, yada. I'm not going to work this because I don't want to. It's just the ABC thing. Do it back and forth, and then you'll solve it. This would break down to x. What does this break down to? 1 and 7, negative 7. So then it would be plus 6, I believe. And is it plus 6? No, it can't be 6. Sorry, it's not plus 6. It's plus 7 and negative 1. That's what this breaks down to. Just trust me on the work if you do the other stuff. And so you see how I took out this 2 here? You'd have to make sure to record your answer like this. Now, it's not going to be the end of the world if you forget that 2, but that's technically the correct full answer. So I don't want to go over these notes because we've done this so many times, and I want to have class time to make sure you know what you're doing. We're going to be working problems today that essentially look like this, and I'm going to actually write that on a different video. Pause.